I was Sandy Usher, but Rico from RicoScores, and we have some important roster news and updates today. First of all, the Washington Commanders are signing quarterback Trace McSorley. We're going to break that down, where he came from, why they chose him out of any of the other quarterbacks that they possibly could have chosen out there. I'm going to break down why. Of course, when you sign somebody, you have to cut somebody as well. We're cutting offensive lineman Mason Brooks. We're going to talk about that too, because I am a little surprised, but my boy Ken Johannesson called it like a few days ago. We're going to talk about all of that. And of course, with us signing Trace McSorley, you're like, okay, do we need a quarterback? Why do we need a quarterback? Well, apparently Sam Hartman and Marcus Mariota are banged up a little bit right now. We're going to dive into that. Of course, they're looking for mobile quarterbacks, and we reached an injury settlement with tackle Alex Akumbulu. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure you stay tuned for all of the content, man. I really appreciate y'all for supporting all of the videos. Of course, we have a joint practice tomorrow with the Miami Dolphins, and I will be breaking that all the way down and show y'all the clips from the practices and everything, just like I do with every training camp practice, like I did with the Jets joint practice specifically. And then, of course, I will be live streaming that Dolphins preseason game on Saturday as well. Make sure you pull up for that. Really excited about all of that, but instead of wasting more of y'all time, let's go ahead and dive into this video, man. Make sure you leave a like. Let's get it. Adam. All right, so first of all, let's go ahead and talk about Mason Brooks, and I would dare to even say my boy Mason Brooks, because this was a guy that I was a pretty big fan of making the roster and things like that. I wasn't necessarily sure if he'd make the 53 final man roster by the time we after the third preseason game heading into the week 1 of the regular season, but I thought he would at least stick around longer than this. So apparently Washington is releasing offensive lineman Mason Brooks, and there's a reason you call him offensive lineman, because he's more so like a guard, kind of like a center, but due to injuries he's even had to play tackle, so that's why you call him an offensive lineman. There's some versatility there, and of course he has been working at tackle lately due to all of the injuries that we've been having at the tackle position with Brandon Coleman, Andrew Wiley, even though Andrew Wiley came back, but Cornelius Lucas had to miss time due to personal reasons why he didn't play in the preseason game against the Jets. So we had a tackle problem. Even though Andrew Wiley's back now, we're still a little worried about Brandon Coleman, but Mason Brooks had to step up and play tackle. Even Chris Paul had to step up and play tackle a little bit against the Jets. So it's an interesting situation. But either way, man, I'm right with Josh Taylor when he tweeted, "Dang, not my guy." I know he's been really working his tail off, definitely going to land on his feet and keep working. And I completely agree. I would be shocked if another team doesn't pick him up. I know we don't necessarily have the best offensive line in the NFL and the best offensive line's depth. So it's not like us cutting him, another man's trash, another man's treasure type of situation. But I really feel like this guy is too talented to just end up going unsigned by the time we get to the 53-man roster. Somebody's going to pick him up at least before then, and I wouldn't be surprised if he makes somebody final 53-man roster, even though he clearly will not make ours. And I know this isn't like a big-time player or anything that was obviously destined to start for us or anything like that, but I thought he held some significance as far as Mason Brooks goes, because remember, we signed Mason Brooks and along with Kazmir Allen, and they were the very first roster moves that Adam Peters made after becoming our GM, our general manager. He signed those two before he even cut Charles Leno, Logan Thomas, and Nick Gates. That was literally the very first move that he made outside of front office and coaching hires after he signed up to be our general manager. So Mason Brooks seemed like a priority just off of that, in my opinion. I thought that this coaching staff, this front office seemed to, like him, because all of the guys that we didn't bring back, all of the guys from the previous regime that we cut, and Mason Brooks made the cut. I was like, okay, maybe they see something in him, but clearly not as we see right now. Or maybe he used to be at a certain point, but then he just didn't show enough in training camp. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure what happened on my end. I didn't hear or see anything about it until my boy Ken Johannesson brought up a great point, which we're going to get to soon. But I mean, the fact that they even asked him to play out of position at tackle at times because of all of the injuries to the O-line. Instead of asking another tackle further down the depth chart, they asked Mason Brooks, who was a guard/center, to step up and play tackle for you in the Jets. So I thought, if anything, that's a compliment towards him. But again, like I said before the intro, my dog Ken Johannesson called this on Twitter 4 days ago when he tweeted, okay, this was back on August 10th. After practice, he said the team fell apart halfway through the fourth quarter. No, so this is from the Jets preseason game, my fault. Overall, decent day for the Burgundy and Gold. Concerned about the backup quarterback position in Forbes, and Mason Brooks could be looking for a new job soon. He said that August 10th. So again, he called it. Shouts out to my boy Ken Johannesson. I watched the tape and I tried to pay attention to as many people as possible, but I didn't watch the Mason Brooks tape specifically, like with like real detailed eyes. So I must have missed that one. Shouts out to Ken Johannesson for not missing that one though. But for those of y'all that are maybe big Ricky Stromberg fans, this means that he has a higher chance of making the final 53-man roster. If there is a light at the end of the tunnel, if you want to look at this glass half full, maybe that's that, because I don't think he necessarily has a much higher chance because Mason Brooks is gone, but he for sure has a higher chance. That's just one less guy he's competing with to make the final 53-man roster at the same position, like an interior offensive lineman, guard/center type of person. Because based on the fact that Mason Brooks was even getting snaps with the starters at times due to the injuries that we had to the O-line, especially at tackle, and the fact that I haven't heard anything about Stromberg, whether good, I mean, neither good nor bad, getting snaps with the starters or whatever through training camp. I really haven't heard Ricky Stromberg's name come up other than when I'm looking at depth charts that the Commanders have put out, and I can't wait for them to do that. I'm hoping they do that sometime today before we actually have the joint practice with the Dolphins, but we'll see. Maybe they'll do it tomorrow morning, Thursday morning, the morning of August 15th. But either way, again, Ricky Stromberg, I haven't heard much about him, good nor bad. I don't know what's going on. I haven't heard about him getting snaps with the starters like Mason Brooks has done occasionally. So that led me to believe and assume that Mason Brooks is probably above Ricky Stromberg on the depth chart, but apparently not. So now looking at the depth chart, with Mason Brooks gone and Alex Akambulu again is already that we've reached an injury settlement with him. I'm gonna mention that again towards the end of the video, or literally did last of the video. And then we signed a couple of other offensive linemen, but they're probably even further back behind Ricky Stromberg in the depth chart, so they're not very significant, but you never know. I'm not writing them off, but you know, this is the depth chart that they put out before they signed those guys, and I'm not sure if they've even updated it since then. But I think Ricky Stromberg, I mean, maybe he has a chance. From what I've heard, Julian Good-Jones has not been good. I mean, again, I haven't heard much about Ricky Stromberg, good nor bad, but Julian Good-Jones, I've definitely heard some bad coming from him. So I'm assuming Michael Dieter will be your backup center. That's pretty safe to say. Chris Paul is a solid guard. I think he's going to make the team. After that, it may be Ricky Stromberg over Julian Good-Jones, in my opinion. So, hey, man, he has quite the chance to make the team, and then from there continue developing, and you never know, maybe Ricky Stromberg grows into something for the Washington Commanders rather than us cutting him and him ending up on another team and then finally realizing his talent with somebody else. We'll see. But now to the part of the video that most of y'all are probably most excited about, most interested in, and the reason that y'all are here. And it seems like we cut Mason Brooks to make room for signing quarterback Trace McSorley. The Commanders are signing quarterback Trace McSorley, per source, first by Grant Paulson. He played for Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona from 2021 to 2022. And Sam Hartman is dealing with a right shoulder injury right now. And Dan Quinn said if Hartman cannot practice this week, and he hasn't so far, he will not play Saturday against Miami. So I do not expect him to play against the Miami Dolphins in the preseason. Now, granted, this just could be a situation where they just need a body out there. We're going to talk about this when we get a little later when we're talking about the injuries to the quarterback situation right now. But maybe Trace McSorley is just a body because they just need quarterbacks out there that are available to play. Because moving on, Sam Hartman's shoulder is technically considered day-to-day, but I'm just not very optimistic about his chances playing in this preseason game because, again, Dan Quinn said it himself. If he doesn't practice, he's not playing on Saturday. And then we had an update about, just 1 hour ago, less than that, Marcus Mariota's game status for Saturday's preseason game against the Dolphins is in the air as he is dealing with an unspecified minor injury right now. So you already have Sam Hartman, your fourth string quarterback, hurt. Then you have Marcus Mariota, your second string quarterback, hurt as well, banged up at least. But Ben Standig came and said that Mariota could still play Saturday and get a couple of drives, I'm told. So we'll see. We'll monitor that situation. But as of right now, are only fully healthy quarterbacks that we know for sure will play against the Dolphins. Out of 5 available quarterbacks, including Trace McSorley, who we just signed, are Jaden Daniels, who we don't want playing too much against the Dolphins in the first place. We don't want him out there too long. Hopefully he can get in like a couple of drives, efficient, score some touchdowns, get right up out of there. Then you have Jeff Driscoll, who already played forever against the Jets. Sam Hartman got hurt in that game, that preseason game against the Jets, which forced Jeff Driscoll to go back out there longer than originally planned. So this guy's already played forever. You don't want to add too much mileage on him in the preseason because maybe he ends up making a 53-man roster over Sam Hartman, even if Sam Hartman weren't hurt. But now the fact that Sam Hartman's hurt, it even increases the chances of Jeff Driscoll making the roster over him even far more likely. You're probably just going to end up stowing Sam Hartman away on your practice squad as a protected player so no other team can snatch him away from your practice squad. And so you have, again, Jaden Daniels, who you don't want to play him much. Jeff Driscoll, who already played way too much against the Jets. You probably don't want to do too much on and put too much on his plate against the Dolphins. And then you have recently signed just today, Trace McSorley. Those are your 3 healthy quarterbacks that we know for a fact should be available to play against the Dolphins. Outside of that, we're kind of struggling. And again, even though he wasn't good with the Arizona Cardinals, I feel like, you know, if you go back and look at that tape, look at those highlights, he was not very good with the Arizona Cardinals while Cliff Kingsbury was the offensive coordinator there. Well, the head coach, but he was the one calling the plays. He's going to be the offensive coordinator here, doing the same thing, calling the plays. And Trace McSorley was not good there. But at the very least, with him having experience in Cliff Kingsbury's offense, he knows the offense at least. So now let's go through the history and see how we got here. Well, first of all, shouts out to Dickie Javala for digging this up. Trace McSorley is from Ashburn, Virginia. He's from literally where we practice for training camps and things like that. So I know he's happy about this. And then the fact that, again, the connection to Cliff Kingsbury, he's our offensive coordinator and he already has experience in his offense. This was like a perfect setup for him, especially with Sam Hartman getting hurt and Marcus Mariota is apparently banged up as well. This was the perfect storm for McSorley. He went to Briar Woods High, about 7 miles from the Commanders training facility. I mean, he's a very, very, very local guy, man, right there where we practice at training camp. Now, he is 28 years old. He's a former 6th round pick of the Ravens back in 2019. He was entering the 3rd year of his 4-year rookie contract worth $2.68 million, including a $160,000 signing bonus when the Ravens waived him coming out of the preseason. McSorley re-signed to the Baltimore's practice squad, but was eventually signed by the Cardinals as their 3rd quarterback. Again, Cliff Kingsbury being their head coach. Arizona cut him coming out of the preseason last year and then later added him to their practice squad. Then the Patriots signed McSorley to a contract for the 2023 season, but later let him go. And he had a stint with the Bears earlier this season before joining the Steelers practice squad in 2023. In 2022, McSorley appeared in 6 games for the Cardinals. This is like the only significant year as far as playing time goes and any statistical data that we can, utilize to kind of see how good he could potentially be to project for him. So again, in 2022, McSorley appeared in 6 games for the Cardinals and completed 54.2% of his passes for 412 yards, no touchdowns, and 5 interceptions to go along with 61 rushing yards and 2 lost fumbles. That stat line is atrocious. So just to dive even deeper, 2019, he played in 1 game for the Ravens and did nothing. Literally no attempt, no nothing. So I don't know what that was. Maybe he came into the game to do a QB nil. I don't know. Or just hand the ball off a couple of times. Then in 2020, he played in 2 games for the Ravens, had 3 completions on 10 attempts, and that was it. 90 yards and a touchdown, though. That's his lone touchdown out of his entire career, and no interception. That's the best season of his career. 3 of 10, 1 touchdown, no interception, 90 yards. That's his best season back in 2020, which is crazy. Then he didn't play in 2021, but in 2022 with the Arizona Cardinals, he appeared in 6 games. Technically, he started 1 of them. He went 45 of 83 for 412 yards. Again, no touchdowns, 5 interceptions, and 2 fumbles lost, which is like really, really bad. And when you go to Pro Football Focus and pull up 2022, they gave him a 36.4 overall grade, a 37.1 passing grade, but a 50.3 rushing grade. You know what I'm saying? Not terrible. Bad, but not terrible compared to the overall and the passing grade that he has. So really just my main point is don't expect much from this guy. Throughout his, again, 0 touchdowns in 2022 to 5 interceptions. Total career, 1 touchdown to 5 interceptions. Best case scenario, that's what he's giving you so far. It's not a good look. This is not a guy that I really even expect to make the team. honestly, especially after breaking down his stats and things like that, even though he is familiar with the Cliff Kingsbury system, that's why he's getting his opportunity. I'm not expecting much from him though. And I'm also not expecting him to make this team. Because even if Sam Hartman is hurt, we still have the 3 quarterbacks that we need. Even though Marcus Mariota's banged up, apparently, again, according to Ben Standing, is not that bad. So Jaden Daniels is your 1, Marcus Mariota as your 2 right now, even though that he's banged up, and Jeff Driscoll looked really good in that preseason game against the Jets, showed some flashes. As of right now, he's still your quarterback 3, I would say today. But hey, don't sleep on Jeff Driscoll surpassing Marcus Mariota maybe. I wouldn't put money on it, but hey, it's there, especially with Marcus Mariota missing time. Jeff Driscoll's going to get a lot of playing time in his upcoming preseason game against the Dolphins. And if he looks how he looked against the Jets, and if anything even gets a little bit better, hey man, we might be cooking with fish grease there. Watch out for Jeff Driscoll working his way up to QB2. We'll see. Again, a lot of it's going to depend on like if Marcus Mariota's hurt or not. But again, back to my main point, the guy that we just signed in Trace McSorley, I don't really see him making the team, even if Sam Hartman is hurt. Even if Sam Hartman goes to the practice squad and technically does not make the final 53-man roster, you still already have your other 3 quarterbacks. Sam Hartman's the 4th, and I don't exactly see him making the roster at this time. And so, especially with how good Jeff Driscoll looks right now as the 3rd quarterback, I feel like there's a bigger gap between Jeff Driscoll and Sam Hartman than the gap between Jeff Driscoll and Marcus Mariota. So it's already writing in the wall. I'm assuming those are our 3 quarterbacks, and Trace McSorley as of right now, I would only put him above Sam Hartman right now because Sam Hartman's hurt. But if I had to go out there tomorrow and win a game based off of those stats and a little bit that I saw of Trace McSorley, just looking at a couple of highlights real quick before I click the record button to this video, I'm taking Sam Hartman. I ain't gonna lie. I know undrafted free agent. I know rookie. I know barely has played, and Trace McSorley has NFL experience, but I already know that bad. I'm going to take the evil that I'm unfamiliar with on this one, man. I'm going to take the one that, hey, man, you never know. Here's this mystery box in Sam Hartman, whereas Trace McSorley, already know you don't expect him to win you any games, man. He's not a Taylor Heineke. He's not a Sam Howell or any other, like, random backup you could think of. He's not a Ryan Fitzpatrick or anything like that. He's just Trace McSorley, man. He's mobile, though, and he has experience in Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and Cliff Kingsbury has clearly shown you that he likes mobile quarterbacks. We drafted Jaden Daniels, even though I'm pretty sure even if Cliff Kingsbury wasn't our offensive coordinator, we were more than likely taking Jaden Daniels anyway. But I'm pretty sure Cliff Kingsbury had a big reason why we brought in Marcus Mariota. He may have even had a say for Jeff Driscoll, and you saw him using his wheels against the Jets in the preseason game. Then Sam Hartman also has some mobility on him coming out of Notre Dame after he transferred. And then you also now have Trace McSorley, who has some mobility to him as well, even though he has 2 fumbles lost in the very few games that he's played, which is not good. But either way, every quarterback on this roster, all 5 of them right now, and it's crazy that we have 5 quarterbacks signed right now when we're still struggling roster-wise to, find answers at receiver, find answers at tackle, especially with all of the injuries that we have, find answers in the secondary, specifically outside corner, and we're sitting here with 5 quarterbacks. But either way, it goes to show that Cliff Kingsbury definitely puts a really high value on mobility out of his quarterbacks and his offense. The fact that they went and got a Trace McSorley, I'm pretty sure there's probably a more competent quarterback out there that's available, that's like a better pocket passer, but that just may not have the mobility that Trace McSorley has right now. So that's why they're giving him this opportunity. And then lastly, before we get up out of here, again, like I mentioned earlier, the Commanders have reached an injury settlement with tackle Alex Akumbulu and released him from the injured reserve. Remember, he got hurt in training camp, one of those practices like a week or 2 ago. And then he like started walking off on his own at one point. Then they just told him to chill. Then they eventually carted him off, and I believe they gave him an air cast. And then he ended up on IR, and now he's officially off of the team, just to let you know. The reason we don't have a roster spot open is because he was already on injured reserve. So that roster spot was already open like days ago once we put him on IR, like over a week ago or whatever. So no more roster spots open, just to clarify that. But Akumbulu is now gone, and that's really it. That's about it. I mean, Mason Brooks gone, Akumbulu officially all the way gone, all the way gone. And then we brought in Trace McSorley. That is your big time roster update today. But yeah, man, that's the end of the video. Please get in the comment section. Let me know how you feel about everything discussed in this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Please let me know in the comment section how you feel about this whole situation. How do you feel about Mason Brooks getting cut? Do you think we're just showing too much love for a backup interior offensive lineman that may have never had a chance to make the roster anyway? Or are you like me where you saw some flashes, especially, remember last year where he was bullying for Darian Mathis? So, I mean, I was definitely partial towards him. I thought he had a chance there. Let me know how you feel about the Mason Brooks situation. And also, let me know if you agree or disagree with me on the Trace McSorley situation where he's really just a body. We just need somebody to go out there and play quarterback for us against the Dolphins. We can't play Jaden Daniels too much. And I just don't think it would be wise to play Jeff Driscoll a lot again 2 preseason games in a row. So we just need another guy out there that could just throw some passes and run an offense, especially an offense that he's already familiar with in Cliff Kingsbury. So let me know if you feel like he has a chance to make this 53-man roster. Maybe he has some talent to him that I'm not seeing, or if you're with me and you feel like this is just simply a camp body, a guy that can come in here and play against the Dolphins in joint practice in the preseason, and then after Sam Hartman and or Marcus Mariota are healthy and good to go, he's gone and he has no chance to make the final 53-man roster. Let me know if you agree or disagree with that. Of course, let me know everything, how you feel in the comments section. Again, do not leave this video without leaving a like. I really appreciate y'all. I'm gonna try to get to all of the comments. I'm gonna really try. I've been super busy this past like week or two, so I haven't been in the comment section like I really wanted to, but please just be patient with me. I really appreciate that. I'm gonna try my best to read and reply to as many comments as I can when I finally get time. Appreciate y'all. Catch y'all later. I'm out.